Welcome to Housekeepers Half Hour. This is a reproduction of a radio show that was broadcasted by the United States Department of Agriculture in 1926. Disclaimer: do not assume contents of this production reflect current scientific knowledge, policies, or practices. This episode was released and broadcasted on March 22nd, 1926.
What shall we have for dinner? In many parts of the country, it has been customary to regard liver as a breakfast dish. According to present-day ideas about foods, however, there are at least two good reasons why the favorite combination of liver and bacon may well be reserved for dinner. For one thing, many people are not demanding the heavy type of breakfast that was eaten years ago. Of meat and potatoes, donuts, pie, and other hearty foods have been superseded by lighter fare. Breakfast in many households now consists of fruit, cereal, eggs variously prepared, bread in some form, coffee or cocoa. Secondly, liver is one of the most important meats in regard to the protein and calories it furnishes the body, ranking with round and sirloin steak in these constituents, so it may well take its place on the hearty dinner menu. Dr. Henry C. Sherman of Columbia University tells us also that liver contains all three vitamins. It is worthwhile, he continues, to realize that the nutritive value of liver is higher than that of ordinary meats because of this vitamin content, and to see that liver is utilized fully as human food. Liver is a rich source of vitamin A, sometimes called the growth-promoting vitamin, and for that reason valuable in the diet of children. It is also a good source of vitamin B, and a fair source of vitamin C, both of which aid in preventing certain diseases which develop if these vitamins are lacking in the diet. Recent experiments have also shown it to be one of the most valuable sources of iron in cases of anemia, so encourage a taste for liver and serve it fairly frequently. As it is usually accompanied by bacon and often by fried onions, these somewhat pronounced flavors help to modify the characteristic liver flavor for those who would not like it otherwise. No distinction in food value is made between the various kinds of liver, beef, calf, lamb, or hog. Chicken liver is still higher in protein than the others, but it is seldom that one has enough chicken livers on hand to make a dinner of them, unless the local market sells separate parts of chicken by the pound. Beef liver is lower in price than calf liver, but cooking tests have shown it to be equally tender and palatable when properly prepared. Lamb livers are sold whole rather than by the pound. They are difficult to find in the average market, but are usually available when lambs are slaughtered nearby, or a local merchant buys entire lambs, and with them the fancy meats, as butchers often call the internal organs. In most of our menus, we have had fruit for dessert and a starchy fruit of some sort with our meat. This time, we shall introduce a little variety by having a fruit appetizer and a starchy dessert. Vary the pattern of your meals once in a while in this way and see how much the family enjoys it. You may have for your appetizer simply oranges cut up and served in a sherbet cup, or a mixed fruit cup, or half a grapefruit. If you choose the latter, you can decorate the cavity from which seeds and rag have been removed with a canned or maraschino cherry, or with a little chopped crystallized ginger if you have it, or with bits of dates or figs or prunes. The vegetables served with the liver and bacon will be scalloped parsnips, for which a recipe will be given, and string beans, fresh if not too expensive, or your own or some commercial brand of canned ones. Then for dessert, nothing could be nicer than a generous helping of slightly warm gingerbread, with or without whipped cream. We'll tell you how to make it. Summarizing the menu: orange cup or grapefruit, liver and bacon, fried onions, scalloped parsnips, string beans, canned or fresh gingerbread, with or without cream. Today's best recipes. Are you ready with pencils and paper? We'll give directions for cooking the liver and bacon first. Cook the bacon, allowing 1 or 2 thin slices for each person. Use a broad iron skillet and cook it over a slow fire, watching it to prevent scorching or uneven cooking. Take the pieces out and drain them the moment they are delicately browned and crisp. If you leave them in the fat, they will be greasy. While the bacon is cooking, wipe the liver and slice moderately thin if you did not have the butcher do so. Many cooks pour boiling water over beef liver to draw out any blood remaining on it. The outer skin and veins may be removed if you wish. Hog and lamb livers are improved by scalding. Beef and calf livers are good either scalded or unscalded. Sprinkle each piece lightly with salt, and if you use it, a little pepper. Dip in flour and cook in the bacon fat as soon as the bacon is done. Keep the fire low and cook the liver slowly. A hot fire makes it dry and leathery, and the edges often scorch. If the fat scorches, it will not be good when you come to make your gravy. If you want fried onions with the liver, they may be cooked at the same time. Cut the onions in thin round slices. When the liver is tender and golden brown, take it from the pan and keep it warm while you make the gravy. Strain the fat and then take 2 tablespoons of it and mix with about 1 to 1/2 tablespoons of flour. There will be some flour already in the fat since the liver was floured. Use a cup of milk to mix with the fat and flour and cook the gravy until smooth. Season with salt and pepper. If you prefer, pour the gravy over the liver or serve it separately. Garnish the dish of liver with the bacon and perhaps a bit of parsley. Many persons who have never liked parsnips before have changed their minds when they tasted these delicate scalloped parsnips. They may be prepared early in the day and reheated in a baking dish. When you are buying your parsnips, select the heaviest ones. Those of light weight may be pithy. Scrub the parsnips clean. Cook them until tender in lightly salted water. 20 to 30 minutes will be enough for medium-sized ones. Drain them and scrape off the outer skin. Split them lengthwise, pull out the woody cores, place in a shallow baking dish, and cover them with a white sauce made with butter, flour, and milk. Or, if preferred, the liquid for the sauce may be top milk or cream, and less butter will then be needed. After this sauce is poured over the parsnips, cover the top with breadcrumbs which have been mixed with melted butter. Then bake in a moderate oven until the parsnips are thoroughly heated and the buttered crumbs are golden brown. The following recipe for gingerbread is taken from Farmer's Bulletin 1450, Home Baking. If you have not seen this bulletin, send to the United States Department of Agriculture for it by all means, for it contains directions for making different kinds of yeast breads, quick breads, pastry, cake, and cookies. Gingerbread is mixed by the so-called batter method. The dry ingredients are mixed and sifted. The eggs are beaten slightly and added to the other liquid ingredients, which are then stirred gradually into the dry. The melted fat is added last to the batter rather than mixed with the liquids. You can find a link to the Farmer's Bulletin 1450 in the comments below. Take down the ingredients now. 1 cup milk, and 1/2 cup sugar, 3 1/8 cup sifted soft wheat flour, 1 cup molasses, 1/3 cup fat, a 1/2 teaspoon salt, 1 egg, 1 teaspoon ginger, 1/2 teaspoon soda, a 1/2 teaspoon cloves, 4 teaspoons baking powder, a 1/2 teaspoon cinnamon. These amounts will make 2 thin loaves. If you prefer to have individual cakes, use muffin pans. Since gingerbread is richer than muffins, it is more likely to fall in the oven if not properly baked. For a shallow loaf, the oven should be moderate, about 375 degrees Fahrenheit. If muffin pans are used, it should be fairly hot, or about 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Sour milk may be used instead of sweet in the same quantity, but in that case, the soda should be increased to a scant teaspoon, and the baking powder decreased to 2 teaspoons. Question: why do some recipes call for sour milk and soda and baking powder too? I thought that the gas formed by sour milk and soda would make a batter or a dough mixture light. Answer: sour milk and soda can generally be depended on to leaven a thin batter, such as that of pancakes. For a dough, such as that for biscuits, or a thick batter, Some baking powder is generally needed in addition to the sour milk and soda. Just enough soda to neutralize the acid in the sour milk should be used. That is, a scant half teaspoon of soda to each cup of sour milk. This has leavening power equal to about teaspoons of baking powder and would be sufficient for about 2 cups of flour. If more flour than that is used in the mixture, you will need baking powder to make it light.
Before proceeding further with the program, we shall take a moment to urge you to direct those questions which come to your mind from day to day to this station. They will be referred to the Bureau of Home Economics of the U.S. Department of Agriculture, which prepares the Housekeepers half hour, and the answers will reach you by letter and over the air from this station. Today, instead, please just ask questions in the comments below this broadcast.
Question: the waffles stick in my electric waffle iron. What is the trouble, and should I grease it? Answer: no. An electric waffle iron should never heat greased. Perhaps your waffles stick because you have not put enough melted butter or other shortening into the batter. 1 or 2 extra tablespoons of melted shortening in the hatter will often keep waffles from sticking in an electric iron. Also, when the waffle is brown and crisp and ready to take out of the iron, jab a fork firmly into it and lift the waffle straight up. If you work around the edges with a knife, attempting to loosen it in that way, the waffle will break and be almost impossible to get out whole. Question: how does the vitamin content of milk vary? Answer: the vitamin content of milk depends largely on the vitamin content of the ration of the cow. Milk richest in vitamins is obtained from cows that have plenty of green feed and sunlight. Cows kept in their stalls and fed largely on dry feeds and cured hay produce milk that is relatively low in vitamins. Question: how are dill pickles treated so as to give them the characteristic flavor? Answer: dill pickles are prepared by putting them in a mild salt solution. In such a salt solution, fermentation takes place within the cucumber, developing acid. A dill herb is also added, which gives a distinctive flavor to the pickles, though they may be made without the addition of the dill. Question: just how are dill pickles made? Answer: dill pickles may be made in either stone jars or clean watertight kegs or barrels. For a 4-gallon jar, proceed as follows. Place in the bottom of the jar a layer of dill and ½ ounce of mixed spice. Then fill the jar to within 2 or 3 inches of the top with washed cucumbers, which are as uniform in size as possible. Add another ½ ounce of spice and a layer of dill. Pour over the pickles a brine made up as follows: salt, 1 pound, vinegar, 3/4 quart, water, 10 quarts. Cover with a board or plate with sufficient weight on top to hold the cucumbers well below the brine. The vinegar is not always added, but it is desirable since the cucumbers are less likely to soften if the vinegar is used. If the temperature is high enough, 86 degrees Fahrenheit, the cucumbers will be cured in about 2 weeks. Any scum which comes to the surface should be skimmed off. When the fermentation is complete, the pickles should be protected in some way against spoilage. They may be covered with a layer of paraffin, or they may be sealed in glass jars or tin cans. In transferring them to glass jars, fill with fresh brine made as directed above, adding a small amount of dill and spice. The brine should be boiled, then cooled slightly before pouring over the pickles. Question: why may the water bath method of processing be used in the home canning of fruits and tomatoes, whereas non-acid vegetables must be processed under pressure? Answer: for successful canning, the temperature applied should ordinarily be the lowest possible that will ensure a safe product. While no growing or so-called vegetative bacteria will survive for any length of time at the temperature of boiling water, 212 degrees Fahrenheit, some bacteria are able to go into spore form. These spores are killed only by very long continued heating at boiling temperature, especially if the fruit or vegetable being canned has juice that is alkaline or only very slightly acid. When the juices are acid, as in fruits and tomatoes, all forms of bacteria are killed more quickly at 212 Grace, which is the highest temperature possible in the water bath. Corn, peas, beans, and other vegetables that do not have acid juice need to be processed under steam pressure at temperatures higher than 212 degrees Fahrenheit. Question: is it proper to use the juices in which vegetables are canned, or should the juices be discarded? Answer: with practically all vegetables, except tomatoes, a brine or syrup containing small amounts of salt or sugar or both is added to the solid vegetable in the process of canning for the purpose of seasoning the product, producing a well-filled can, and assisting in the proper cooking of the product. During the processing treatment, mineral matters, sugars, and other soluble materials dissolve in the liquor. It is evident that the discarding of this liquid means the loss of valuable food material. So unless the solid pieces of vegetables are to be used for special purposes, such as the preparation of a salad, the throwing away of the juice represents a loss of the food material of the can. Well, this concludes this broadcasting of Housekeepers Half Hour. I'm your host, Aunt Sammy. If you did indeed enjoy this broadcast, please consider listening to any of our other broadcasts. New shows are to be put out every week for new education and your listening pleasure. Until next time, remember to keep it tidy.
This production was researched and produced by BreakAway Empire LLC.